Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be dwelling on the case of Whitney Hostler. Before I dive deep into this video, I'm going to give a brief introduction of Whitney. So Whitney Hostler and her family resided in Dayton. Dayton is a city in Ohio State. It is said that Whitney was born into a family of two sisters. Prior to her birth, her parents faced a lot of marital challenges. And 2 years after Whitney was born, her parents decided to go separate ways. Her mom, who was facing some health challenges, was denied full custody of the kids, and instead her dad was granted full custody of the girls. It is said that Whitney was a very cheerful girl and she was very good at drawing. She had a great talent in drawing. And her dad decided to enroll her in an art academy. So Whitney's older sister, who had become of age, decided to move out of the family home and live a more independent life. Fast forward, Whitney's mom was very desperate to live together with her daughters. Started hanging out more often with Whitney, and as life would have it, Whitney decided to move in with her mom while keeping close communication with her dad. So, fast forward, when Whitney was 15, she became close to a guy by name Randy Rider. So, Randy Rider and Whitney relationship grew to romance, and when Whitney was officially 16, they became boyfriend and girlfriend. It is said that Whitney's family accepted Randy, vice versa. So when Whitney was 22 years old, she became pregnant. Even though this pregnancy was unplanned, Whitney and Randy gained full support of their parents. However, these couples planned to work and, complete college. So, Randy's parents, who were elderly and were retired, asked these couples to move in with them because they have enough time in their hands to cater for their grandchild. So Whitney and Randy moved in with Randy's parents, and when the baby was born, Whitney grand Randy grand Randy mom catered for her with so much love, and she was so overprotective of this child. But as time went by, Randy and Whitney started facing challenges in this relationship, as it is said that Randy had a mistress, and every time Whitney was accusing him of cheating. So on this fateful day, Whitney and Randy had to hang out with their friends, but a query. So on this fateful day, Whitney, Randy, and some of their friends decided to hang out together. Unfortunately, a fight broke up at home whereby Whitney was accusing Randy of constantly cheating on her, and she threatened to sue him for child support as well as moving out of their family home with her daughter, and she said that they were never gonna set eyes on her again. Valerie, Randy's mom, didn't take this threat lightly. She became so tense and overprotective of this child, and she was scared of losing her granddaughter. So she asked Randy to leave the room, and she confronted Whitney with all these, threats. And while they were, talking in Whitney and Randy's room, suddenly the place became quiet, and Randy's dad came out of the room and held Randy in his hand, telling him to go out of the house for some days. Randy, on the other hand, was like, oh, maybe his dad just want him to go out so Whitney can calm down and he's gonna come back later on. So Randy immediately left home. So while Randy was out of the house, while Randy was out of the house, already hanging out with friends, he decided to place a call over to Whitney to find out where she was because some of their friends had to pick her up. However, all attempts met with dead end, and so Randy became increasingly worried. But he thought that maybe Whitney decided not to hang out with them again and decided to stay home. So on the 1st of October 2019, Randy went to the police to, complain of a missing person. And so the police decided to look deep into this issue. Immediately when the police got into their home to do their check, to do a welfare check, they didn't meet Randy at home nor his parents. They met Rudy Jr., that is Randy's younger brother. So they asked him where his parents were, and Rudy said that they went hunting with their granddaughter. However, the police tried to interrogate him, and his alibi stated that on this particular day, he was at work from morning to evening. While they were there with Rudy, immediately Randy's parents got in. They were so, they were all looking so muddy and, oh, while Randy's parents got home, they were soaked up with mud from their feet right up to knee level. And the deputy asked them, where have they been? They said they went hunting for close to 6 hours. But then how can you guys go hunting with your granddaughter? So they said there was no one at home and they decided to take her along. Besides, she was sleeping. So the police officers, however, left their home, but while on their way out, they noticed a pickup truck in the garage. And while they looked into that pickup truck, they discovered garbage bags, tapes. As a matter of fact, they noticed some strand of hair on that tape. And when they look at it closely, they discovered that it could be Whitney's hair because they had pictures of Whitney. Whitney was a blonde girl and the hair there was blonde and almost the same length as Whitney's. These officers never mentioned the discovery they made. They just went back to their office quietly. The next day, they called in Randy's parents for questioning as well as Randy. When they went to the police office, they were being interrogated in separate rooms. So Randy's dad insisted that on that fateful day they went hunting, while Randy's mom, stick to the point that a car came at their home to pick up Whitney. She's not really she didn't take note of the number plate. But while the interrogation became more serious, Randy's dad became so tense and stressed and he had to confess. So Randy's dad, who became so afraid, decided to confess. She said on this particular day, he was woke up from his nap by loud noise from Randy's room. And out of a sudden, the noise stopped. So he decided to go in there to find out what was going on. He met his wife standing next to Whitney, who was lying on the bed with a plastic covered over her head. And so immediately the wife tried to, you know, tell him to conceal this act. And so Randy's dad quickly went out of the room to tell Randy to leave the house for some days in order to cool down. So immediately Randy left to go join his friends. And when Randy's dad got in, we explained what has transpired and the situation whereby Whitney was threatening to go away with their grandchild. So the husband had to comply in order to save his wife. So they decided to wrap Whitney in a plastic bag and took her to the forest to discard her body. Since no one was home, they went along with Whitney's own daughter, guys. You can imagine. They are taking your mom's dead body with you to go discard of her. This is so, you know, this is so heart-wrenching. And so when they got to this area deep in the forest, they dropped Whitney in a cliff. Okay, so Whitney's mom, who was in the other, Randy's mom, who was in the other interrogating room, didn't know that her husband has already confessed, and she was still, you know, stick on the point that, oh, Whitney left with somebody. So when they told her that her husband has finally confessed, she decided to come out clean. And she said that was not actually what happened. She said what happened was that she was trying to calm Whitney down, and they got into an argument, and one thing led to another. They got involved in a fight, and out of self-defense, she accidentally, you know, killed Whitney. And that was how they discarded her body. So the police, on the other hand, said that they are not sure of this story, because if that was the case, why did Randy's mom not seek medical help? Instead, she was trying to cover up the evidences. And even when the deputy got to their home, she said that the trash bag was meant for something else, you know. So it was so clear that she was trying to cover this evidence. If it was an accident, she could have confidently tell them what transpired. So finally, this case was being taken to court, and Whitney's family was insisting that it is not Randy's mom who killed Whitney. They think that Randy killed Whitney and the mom is trying to cover up the case for Randy. However, at the end of the case, Randy's mom pleaded guilty and she was sentenced to 21 years in prison, whereas the dad was sentenced to 36 months for, you know, trying to obstruct the law and covering up evidence. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'm going to analyze this case. So, in my opinion, I think that Randy's mom was so desperate to have a grandchild. And you know, when most parents are aging or they become of age, they need a companion at home. So I guess that immediately as Whitney came up with the plan of moving out, she was so desperate that she didn't need to go that far to kill in order to have a grandchild, because finally she's gonna rot in jail. I heard she's gonna be eligible for parole in 2041. So why will you lose your life in order to, keep a grandchild. Now she's in jail. Whitney is gone. That baby's life is more frustrated. She's going to grow up knowing that her own grandmother took away the life of her mother. It is so terrible. That would have been the best way she would have handled this situation, either by talking to Winnie, try to calm her down, try to change her mind. I know when people make up their mind, sometimes they do not want to turn back. But then she could have cautioned her son, okay? Instead of her to talk to her son not to cheat on Whitney and try to solve the crisis in their relationship, she decided to take the law into her hands. And remember, in the United States, not only in the United States, in every part of the world, no matter how you try to hide all these criminal acts, most of the time, these victims, their spirit doesn't go to rest until you are exposed. Okay? So, guys, before I conclude, it is said that Whitney's body was discovered by a hunter in a cliff while he went hunting, and he thought that this body was maybe one of the tourists who came for sightseeing and accidentally fell down the cliff. And due to the danger surrounding this cliff, he decided to call the police to help retrieve this body from the cliff. And after forensic check, it was discovered that Whitney Hostler was actually the lady the hunter found in that cliff. And also to young ladies who easily, jump into a relationship and later on you start discovering one or two negative issues about the guy. You should know that in most cases, when you are not married and you go ahead getting pregnant, most of the time the guy starts feeling withdrawn, right? Perhaps if Whitney got married to this guy officially before having this baby, I don't think he will be misbehaving, okay? And if you have plans, it is better to keep them in your heart rather than airing it out, because if Whitney just disappeared one day with that girl, Randy's mom would have not killed her. So guys, learn to be secretive in positive ways. Stay guarded. Take care of yourself, because if you do not take care of yourself, somebody else will do that. Until then, see you on my next video. Bye-bye.